Hello, hello. Hello, everyone. How we doing? So you got a few people in chat already. Awesome. It's awesome to see you guys here. Welcome to our stream on a Saturday. So today we're going to be doing a bit different. I know for the last few weeks we've been working on Real Steel 2, and I've been streaming, just showing you guys how I made it. Now we're doing something a little different today. We're doing a stream where I'm going to show you guys me working on my short film that's going to be kind of based off of Lord of the Rings. Now you might be like, well, hang on, Sam, you're already speech impediment there. You're already working on Real Steel 2. Why are you working on another thing? Don't worry, Real Steel 2 is still the priority. The problem is I've now gotten to the point of production where if I were to continue streaming, I would just be spoiling stuff, and I don't want to do that for you guys. When I first threw the idea of me live streaming weekly, there was a few people that were like, well, that sounds cool, but I don't want to see spoilers, right? I would just want to enjoy your films when they come out. And that's fair, and I respect that, right? So I'm doing my best to tread around spoilers when it comes to the more big short films, and the smaller scale short films that are more like 60 seconds to 90 seconds long, like this one that we're going to be working on today. That's stuff where we won't really worry about spoilers as much because, well, there's not really a plot line. It's more of a visual storytelling. But yeah, don't worry, it's still the priority. The whole cinematic section that is going to be in the teaser, which is coming very soon, is done. It's just sound design that needs to be completed. The thing we've been working on for the last few weeks, it's done. I just need to do sound design, and then I can release that for you guys to enjoy, and you can tell me what you think. And yeah, while we're doing that, I'll be obviously working on the fight, the actual fight, doing the motion capture. It's all choreographed. It's just been a pain in the ass, to tell you, waiting for this back to heal. It's taking forever. Things like standing are much less painful now, but things like sitting and any kind of erratic movement starts to make it pretty raw. So I've got to be very careful, as I don't want to take steps backwards. I want to keep moving forwards. I want to keep healing. I don't want to be bedbound for another 2 weeks, because that was not fun. But yeah, so to build upon what I already said about what we're doing today, we are going to be working on one of the environments for a mini short film that I'm making that is called One, O-N-E, and it's basically just going to be a very simple concept. Sauron crafting his one ring in Mount Doom, and that's pretty much it. And he'll put it on, and we're going to make it look cool. Yeah, just thought it'd be fun. Like, Lord of the Rings was one of the first things that really got me into visual effects, really fascinated me, just because before Lord of the Rings, we hadn't really seen CGI applied to that kind of scale. I mean, obviously we had seen awesome things like Terminator 2 and the Jurassic Park movies, but I feel like something that was special about Lord of the Rings was its ability to, it wasn't just making one CG creature or one CG character. It was like thousands and thousands of soldiers or orcs and these huge vast landscapes, right? So that was like what kind of got me into my fascination of visual effects. It didn't make me go, oh, I want to do VFX, but it did start my interest in it, which inevitably led to me doing it now as a job. Well, trying to do it as a job. I lost my job about a year ago because of the strikes, but here's what it is. Anyway, so today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be making the interior of Mount Doom. Mount Doom is the big volcano where they have to throw the ring in order to destroy it. Spoilers at the end of Lord of the Rings. And so we're going to be making the interior of that for Sauron to be working away in there for his one ring. So yeah, it's going to be fun. I've got all the assets prepared. And yeah, why don't you guys let me know how your week's been going? I'm just going to quickly grab a fan there and bring it over here because it gets hot. I got this big light pointed at me and I start cooking. But let me know in the chat if you can hear me all right. what you think about, like, what are you looking forward to? Is it Real Steel, this film? Are there any kind of short films you want to see? Let me know in the chat. I'm just going to quickly grab this fan and plug it in so that I stop cooking and sweating, because it's not fun. So 1 second. Oh, that is way better. I've got it aimed to about here, so it's not going to mess with the mic. Anyway, let's do this. I'm going to screen share. And then we've just got our file open here. And this is where we're just going to build out the Blockout today. The aim for today's stream is we're just going to build out the Blockout using basic shapes. And why am I trying to do a Blockout? Well, the reason why I want to do a Blockout is because when it comes to building environment, you don't, like, if you really want it to feel directed and feel like its own character, which is really crucial when you're when you're creating an environment, it's really crucial that it feels like its own character. And if you just kind of improv it and you just start going away, building stuff just for the sake of building stuff, it can start to feel a bit aimless, and it's like, why are we doing this? So blocking out is just a great way to really understand the sense of scale you want to go for, how vast, how small, how detailed do you want certain bits, how non-detailed do you want other bits, you know. So it's a really useful tool. And one of the really important things to do when you are blocking is to have a reference for scale. Now, when I say reference, I know often we think, oh, a video or an image. Well, in this specific example, we need to have something in our scene that we can constantly go back to as a reference of scale, so we can make sure everything is cohesive, right? We don't want one door to be 6 foot tall and then another doorway to be like 3 foot tall, but when you look at it, it looks fine, but then you put your character in there and it looks very bizarre, and you want to avoid that. So the way you avoid that is you have a consistent character, a model, simple model with a simple measurement, so that you know, okay, this is the scale of everything, and I can base it off that. If I'm like, oh, is it too big, is it too small, I can bring that model in and compare it. So what we've got here, as you can see, and you're like, well, how big is this plane, right? This could be 6 feet wide, it could be 3 inches wide, I could be proper zoomed in on it, right? You can't really tell until excuse me, until I bring this guy in and I make him visible. You see that? Let me zoom in. That is how big this thing is. But you wouldn't be able to tell, right? Because in these 3D softwares, it's very hard to understand scale unless you have reference. So I'm like, whoa, because if I went off just of what I thought, I would think maybe this was supposed to be about 10 times. This human, I would think, is about 10 times bigger than this in comparison to this plane. But he's tiny, and we don't want that, right? So now, for the actual blocking out, we don't have to worry. I think I'm happy with it being this big because we want the interior of the Mount Doom to feel immense. But when it comes to things like the doorways and the passage that leads to the center of the volcano, where the altar thing is, where Sauron works on his ring, we want to make sure that that's all properly to scale. So that's where this guy's going to come in. So I'll hide him again because we don't need to worry about him just yet. And before we properly get into it as well, let me do this first, actually. I'll just very quickly create our block. And it's fine about this being white, doesn't matter, because we can slap some textures on them later on to make sure that it kind of blends in. But what we're doing here is we're basically just sectioning off a large area and going, okay, this is the play zone, essentially. This is where our characters are going to be. This is what the camera is going to see. And we don't have to worry about anything else that is outside of this. Okay? Which is great. That's what we don't want to worry about all of this over here because the camera's not going to see it. The camera's not going to see it. You don't have to worry about it. Okay? So this is what we're working with. And again, this is where reference is really important for scale, because we have no idea how big this thing is. So let's bring this guy back. Look how small he is, right? So he is pretty tiny, right, in comparison to this. And if we are like, okay, this is pretty immense in terms of scale. I don't mind that. I like showing off a bit of scale when it comes to these things. So I'm actually kind of happy with this being this massive. But if we use this software called PureRef, we've got, if I move my camera, actually what I'll do is I'll scale down my camera just a bit for this bit, just for this bit. So what we got here is we've got some reference, and this is using an app called PureRef. I really recommend it to you if you are trying to have a software where you can just put a whole collage of what kind of look and feel, or if you're trying to model something exact, it's amazing for this kind of stuff, right? So this is what we're using, and we've got all these different so we can have a look at, this is the interior of Mount Doom. Okay, so we're having a look at this. And if you'll notice, seems to be some sort of grand man-made, or probably orc-made doorway and covering up area here, which then is led across by some bridge of sorts, which kind of inevitably then transitions into rock, and then finishes off with quite a big piece of rock there with a few stalactites and different things. Here we got another image of what to expect in terms of it, what it looks like. Is another one of what the altar should kind of look like, where Sauron is building his ring. Got another one here, which is great for the feel. See, it just feels very violent, very dangerous, very angry, very emotional. So this will be useful for adding lots of dripping lava, exploding lava, and sparks and stuff. And then we got this one as well, just great for lighting reference. There's a lot of underlight, right? There's a lot of from underneath. There's not a lot coming from above. There's quite like this subtle, cool blue light coming from the top, and a lot of warm colors coming from the bottom. And yeah, we can keep coming back to this and making sure that everything feels cohesive and matches the kind of feel we're going for here. But again, all we're doing today is we're blocking out the environment. That's all we have to worry about for today, is just making sure, does this feel right in terms of scale? Does this feel right in terms of similar shapes? You know, could I see this then being replaced with high quality assets and feeling very cohesive and directed? Okay. And another thing that we can use for reference is video. So what we've got here is the cinematic trailer for Middle-earth: Shadow of War. If you've not played that game, I recommend it. It's a pretty good game. Shadow of Mordor is better, in my opinion. I think they were a bit too ambitious with Shadow of War, but it's still a very good game. They're both very good. And this is a cinematic made by Blur Studio. I would love to work for Blur Studio someday. So who knows? Maybe if Blur sees this, this could be some sort of application, because the stuff you guys make is legendary. The cinematics for video games, and also like the stuff you guys did with Deadpool, is incredible. So anyway, I'm going to stop kissing up to Blur Studios. But as you can see here, we've got an idea of how it's supposed to feel. There's a lot of smoke, a lot of sparks. There's like these engravings on the thing where they're forging the ring, which is, yeah, pretty much just black speech, I believe. So I'll make that all fit. I want to do something like that as well. Like, I'm going to have like Sauron crafting it, and as he hits it one last time, there's like a big explosion of like smoke and bright lights, and he kind of steps back, and then right there is the ring, and it's glowing, and the black speech is glowing on the ring, and he puts it on. It'll be a cool thing. So yeah, it's going to be fun. And so this is pretty good for just like the feel, right? You see how like violently the sparks and smoke are moving. So it's not supposed to feel this faint, beautiful thing. It's supposed to feel very violent and furious. Okay, so that's the kind of design and feel and vibe we're going to go with. Now that I have seen that stuff, I am going to actually scale this down, because looking at it, it's pretty immense in terms of scale. Do I need to? No, I won't. So what we're going to do is, this is our character, so we're going to bring in just basic cube shapes, and we're just going to block this bad boy out. Okay, so let's see where he is, and let's just kind of get an idea of where this character is, and imagine that this... Do we want him a bit further up, or no? Yeah. That's a pretty... Let's move him up a tiny bit. We'll move him up a tiny bit, because we want it to feel like it's very vast, and that there's a lot of space between him and the lava, but also a lot of space between him and the top of the volcano. But we can always build upon. So let's do that. I'm happy with that. And then let's work with the scale here. And let's move this along, and this will be like kind of what we use for just marking out the doorway area, getting a feel for it, you know what I'm saying? So let's move this along, make this a bit bigger, because this is kind of like this little overhang that's happening where the doorway is, to enter into the center part of... Do I not have modeling? I don't have the modeling plugin. Well done, Sam, you're very organized. I'll make sure it's plugged. I've got the plugin going next time around. Sorry about that, guys. So, oh, that's not what we want. So let's make this a bit thinner and bring this out. I'm also going off of memory of watching the Lord of the Rings movies. So let's move out a bit. So it's got to come into the center-ish area. So let's duplicate it again. Yeah, that comes out into the center area. And let's bring some other shapes in here. Let's start playing around with this a bit more. So let's make this much bigger. There we go. Scale this down a bit. Because if you remember, if we look at our reference... Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. If we look at our reference here, we've got... Actually, let me make my camera a little bigger again. There we go. So if you see here, we've got these pillars that eventually then kind of corrode and just become primitive rock, almost as if this was already here and they've just carved it out of the rock that was there. I would hate to have that job. Whoever had to sit here on a rope and carve this, getting their ass cooked. Not a fun time. It was probably an orc. But so we want to try and emulate that effectively here. So, and obviously again, this is just a block out, but we want to get a good understanding of everything in terms of the feel and look that we are going for, and then from there we can replace stuff with much higher quality assets, but also custom assets, right? Because there's a lot of mega scans that are available, but with something like this that is very unique, Shadow of Mordor is very... Sorry, not Shadow of Mordor. Lord of the Rings. Bloody hell. Sorry, guys. I keep mixing them up. But we want it to feel like it's in this world, right? We don't want to feel like a cheap copy. So what we've got to do is we've got to make sure that it feels unique. And if we're just using mega scans from Unreal Engine, some of it might be able to cover it, but I'm sure there's going to be some bits where I'm going to have to use some custom assets that I'll make in Blender, and that'll be a cool live stream to do. Which, hello to everyone that is in the live stream. Hello everyone, we've got 6 viewers. Thank you everyone for taking time to be in this. This is awesome. If you guys have any questions, feel free to shoot them in. If you guys have any ideas or comments as well, don't hesitate. And yeah, we're just, if you've just joined us, we are working on a short film that is based off of Lord of the Rings. It's going to be Sauron crafting his one ring. It's going to be about 60 to 90 seconds long, so it's not going to be crazy. But it is going to be a fun watch for everyone. We're going to have Sauron in his fair form, looking like Anatar, which is the form that he had when he deceived the elves, specifically deceived Celebrimbor into crafting the rings. And so we're going to work with that. There we go. And again, this will all be replaced by more good-looking assets. It's not looking the best right now. How long... All right, so we got a question. How long does a short usually take start to finish? So ultimately, that depends on the scale. So this will probably not take... I mean, usually a good, solid short film, I think the best reference would be the last short film I released, which was Deja Vu, which is a horror short film that I made. It's up on my channel. If you haven't watched it, go and check it out. Heavily inspired by The Shining, and I think it's called either Evil Within or Fear Within. It's a video game. Can't remember, but that short film took me 30 days to make, but that's like hardcore every day, really pushing it. Unfortunately, with stuff like Real Steel 2, I've had some unfortunate delays with injuries, like my back injury. I know I keep saying it, but it's really been bad. I've not been able to walk for like 2 weeks. And so hopefully this one shouldn't take me more than... I would say at max, this will take me 2 weeks. But realistically, that might take me shorter than that. Because it is only 60 to 90 seconds long. When it comes to stuff like Real Steel 2, I would say I'm probably 2 or 3 weeks away from that being done. It would have been done a lot sooner if it hadn't been for this injury. Because I have to get in the mocap suit with my brother and record the fighting. So, unfortunately, I got this injury, and I just like things like bending over and extreme movements are just impossible. But yeah, I would say typically a good solid short film takes me around 30 days, but I'm trying to create more and more smaller scale short films because I'm realizing that these long breaks in between short films is not very effective. So I'm trying to fill them with these live streams, but also fill them with smaller scale, you know, 30, 60, 90 second long short films that are more of just a one-dimensional concept. There's not too much narrative going on to try and balance it out and make sure you guys have some fun watching stuff. So that's why I'm working on this. The reason why I'm not showing anything for Real Steel 2 today is simply because everything is done except the fight. And I don't want to show you guys me working on the fight because that will be spoilers and I don't want to ruin the experience for you guys. So hopefully you guys understand that and appreciate that. So that's why I'm working on this with you guys, because I figured, you know, it's still fun to watch. Okay, so in terms of scale, I like that. It's pretty mahoosive. But that's what we want, right? We want this to feel ridiculously large because it's Mount Doom. Mount Doom's got to feel massive. Right. So this will be... I'm just using this to mark the doorway. I'll actually make the doorway here. I want it to be some pretty cool, immense doorway. It will kind of open like that. And then it will have, around it, it will have smaller versions of this. Oh. Let's bring this in. This in like that. There we go. Duplicate this along. Again, we'll go back to the reference in a second, and we'll make sure that this kind of matches somewhat what we are looking for. That is ultimately what is important. So that's where the massive doorway will be. I could probably just remove that now, because that gives you an idea of where the massive doorway is going to be. Bring this right back. And again, it's very primitive shapes. We will replace them in the next stream once we have a better idea of what we are looking at. I'm pretty happy with that in terms of blocking out. What do you guys think? It gives you the rough idea. I keep doing that. See here, we're trying to emulate this. Obviously, we're going to fill this all with rubble and stuff appropriately. How many are there? One, two, three. Okay, so there's a few more. And again, see, this is where it's so important, because I would have probably just left it as is. So now that I know it needs to be a few more than that, so I can bring this over and duplicate this a few times. Sweet. Which does make me want to have this come out a bit more. So that is what we're going to do. Gonna bring this out. Cool. Sweet. Yep. Let's go back to the reference. Have a look at it again. I keep clicking the wrong bloody thing. So it comes up. See the, I mean, this is more important for next stream, but let's have a look what else we can do. Let's put some primitive shapes for the stalactites and different things. So we'll use a cone. Oh no, that's not what we want to do. There we go. Do. Be some stuff coming out of the walls, and it would, now that I think about it, it would probably start getting smaller towards the top, so that's better. Bring this across. again, will make it look way better than this. Just going to duplicate a bunch of these around, and then I'm thinking, where would the lava be? Lava would probably be about here, feels like. So let's make sure these are in the lava, because I've got this really cool animated texture for the lava, which I think is really gonna add an intimidating aspect to it. Actually, you know what I can do is I can slap it on right now. Is it lava? Here we go. Look at that. Look how sick that looks. You can see how it's like animated. It's pretty cool. And that's just gonna add like this really moody underlight. And once this is all like black, brooding rock and architecture, I think it will look really, really cool. I actually am going to keep that as that, because it's helping me get the feel of what we're going for here. Let's make these a little smaller. I think they're a bit on the big side. Sweet. But yeah, to give you guys like a proper update on what's going on with Real Steel 2, it's coming along very nicely. We've got the teaser coming out very soon. I've just got to get the sound design done, which is my least favorite part, but don't worry, I'm going to get it done. And it should be a lot of fun for you guys to watch. And it will give you guys a good idea of what's going to happen. There's also going to be a little teaser as to who is Atom's opponent, which I think will be fun for everyone. So yeah, I think you guys are really going to enjoy it. I've been working really hard on making this short film worth you guys' while, because the first Real Steel that I made got over like 100,000 views, which I wasn't expecting at all. So thank you if you took the time to watch that. If you didn't, come on now. No, I'm playing. But thank you for everyone and their support, and hopefully you guys enjoy this one as well, because I've been putting a lot of effort into it. I hope you guys don't get your hopes up though. It is not the continuation of the feature film. It is a short film. It's a kind of what if kind of, you know that Marvel show. I know it didn't do very well, did it? But it's like what if, where it's like playing with like hypothetical things. So it's kind of that. It's a what if kind of fight. What if these two bots fought? Atom and so and so. I won't give it away. But so I'm just playing around with that kind of stuff, you know. Just having some fun. And hopefully you guys have fun watching it. Okay, let's make this a little... There we go. Not that it matters all that much what this looks like. It's more just I'm trying to get a feel of this, you know. Like, this isn't going to be a square volcano. We're not in Minecraft, so there's a lot of things that are going to be... Actually, let's do this. And this is why, excuse me, this is why you have to really make sure you get your scale right. Because see how I'm slowly adding in more and more things. And initially I was like, this might be a bit too big. But now it's like, you know, it's getting smaller. And it's just because as you add more and more assets into a scene, it fills it up, right? It's the same with like if you move into a new house and you walk into the living room and you're like, oh babe, this living room is massive, this is awesome. And then you move your couch in there and your TV in there and all your kids' toys in there and the table and whatever and other seats, and all of a sudden there's no room at all and it's a mess. So you gotta imagine the place being full of all the assets you're going to be using. And that's why Blockout is so useful, because it allows you to see, okay, what is the general feel of this going to be once I'm done making this? And this is what this is allowing me to do. So let's make this a bit nicer. Because from what I remember, there was like a bit of a, if I go back, there's a bit of a kind of whoop thing going up. So I want to get some sort of, again, it's just reference, so we don't need it to look perfect, but it's just more for when I come back to this, I want to be able to remember, oh yeah, I did that, because it makes it look more like the reference, and just means I'm more likely going to consistently achieve the look that we are after. Otherwise, it's very easy to forget things, you know. So let's move this over a tiny bit. There we go. This will also be super useful for like once I do the motion capture, because we've designed Anatar. I say we, the royal we, me. I've made Anatar using a custom metahuman. He's got his pointy ears. He's got his luscious long white hair. But I have to make his custom clothing, and I have to do the motion capture. So I'm going to be trying to learn Marvelous Designer. I've got 2 free months of that membership, thanks to Punisher and his competition that he did. I was able to get into the top 100, and one of the awards was 2 months of Marvelous Designer. So I'm going to try and learn that as soon as possible, and be able to use that to make some custom clothing for Anatar and simulate that, make that look really cool. So that will be a cool live stream to show you guys how to create custom clothing and everything. And then the reason why this blocking out is so useful is even if the environment isn't done, I can use this as my base for reference of, okay, what is the space like in terms of scale and placement, so that when I record the motion capture, I can get a good idea of blocking it out in real life, and knowing that once I then put the mocap on the character in the environment, it's going to match in scale. He's not going to be reaching for something that should be by his side, but it's actually like 300 meters that way. You don't want that. So that's why things like this are also useful. There's a lot of useful applications to this stuff. Let's duplicate this stuff one more time. And then how's this looking? It's looking better. So you're getting a bit of an idea now. And so like if I want to as well in another live stream, if I want to work on the cinematography, I don't have to worry about completing the environment just yet. I've got a blockout. I've got a solid understanding of, okay, this is what it's going to look like. This is the placement. This is where he's going to be crafting the ring. Do I want to have a scene of him walking across the archway? Do I want to come in through the top of the volcano? And I can experiment using this blockout, right? And if I had just winged it and started doing like random stuff with the assets, it might have ended up not looking as good as it can. So you got to learn to not rush things and allow things to take time. You know, there's nothing wrong with taking time to let the art breathe. So this is our character. Actually, let's see if is this possible. I'm inside it now. I don't know if I like that. But this will be really nice once we add all the rocks. And we've got a nice HDRI as well. Somewhere. I can't find it. But let me show you guys what we've got for Anatar. How Anatar is going to be looking. So, where's MetaHumans? There he is. Anatar. Might take a second to load. Bear with me. It is the highest quality that I could download. So, he is a fat boy. Not in terms of actual physical size, but in terms of memory and a level of detail on him. He's a big boy. And then we're also, I'm going to find a, because he has his fair form, and then he obviously has his, I guess you could call it his foul form or his true form, where he's in his black armor and stuff. So we're going to use that as well. So he looks a bit like, ugh. He looks a bit horrific right now, but don't worry, it's because we got to get his clothing on. We're also going to make his eyes glow a little bit, which actually, you know what? Let's play around with that now. Because I feel like in terms of blockout, like looking at the reference, I don't know what else. I guess I could add like a thing. Let's add a little block in the center, just so we can get an understanding of where the altar is going to be. Nope, that's not what I want. There we go. This is the altar. It's a little smaller. It's just a table. Yep, that's where the Ring of Power was crafted, people, on a tiny little canteen table. Oh boy. But we can probably delete this guy now because we've got Anatar as our reference. So let's put a light right next to him so we can get a better idea of what he's going to look like. It's a little hard to see just exactly what he'll look like. Let's add a bit of warmth to it as well. A bit of length to it so the shadows are a little softer. Temperature. There we go. Et voila. And let's put one as well. Let's put this behind him. Bit of a backlight. Again, this is just as we're working on him. It's not actually going to be the lighting for this piece. Let's put this to 0.5. There we go. So this is what he's looking like. It's kind of this fair looking guy, I guess. We're going to make some custom clothing for him as well, obviously. His ears are there. They're not super visible. I think once the hair is more simulated, though, it'll work just fine. But one thing that could be fun is if we come in here. LOD sync. Great. He is on the right one. Let's go to his face. Let's open up his skin textures because we've got some custom, not custom, but textures that I've downloaded, which are much higher res than this, which will be good for him. Let's see where. I'm trying to remember where I put it. See, I organize things and then I forget where everything is. Like a moron. It's probably in MetaHumans, right? I probably put it here. Yes, I did. Okay, so let's see what he looks like. I actually prefer that. I think that doesn't look right to me. Because Anatar is supposed to be a good mix of masculine and feminine. He's supposed to look very fair. And I think he looks fairer here than that. That doesn't feel right to me. I feel like his eyebrows are a bit too thick. That resembles Anatar a bit more. So, I mean, let me know what you guys think. Maybe you guys have a different opinion, but that is mine. So let's have a look at his eyes. I want to add a bit of a subtle glow to his eyes. Okay. Now, his eyes won't glow the whole time. There we go. But I'm not sure if you guys have seen any of the cinematics from Shadow of Mordor or Shadow of War. I recommend you checking them out because they are very good cinematics. The artists that worked on those cinematics are very, very talented. But in those, you see Anatar, you see Sauron in his fair form, and the way you know it's him is because he has these ever so subtle, glowing, yellowish, orangish eyes. It just gives him away, right? Everything else tells you he's fair and beautiful and good. And then you see that ever so subtle part that gives away what he really is. And I like that. And what we can do as well is we can really up it to like that when he puts on the ring. It could be something cool where like his eyes are this color, and then after he finishes crafting the ring and he puts it on and he says one ring to rule them all in black speech, which I can't remember off the top of my head, but don't worry, I'm gonna get the pronunciation right when I record the voice lines, so do not worry, any Lord of the Rings fans watching this. I know what I'm doing, and I'm gonna make sure I do this appropriately. But it'd be cool to see something where maybe his eyes glow more like this when he puts the ring on, just to show that like he's, I don't know, the power is in him or something, I don't know. And then he like transforms into his black armor look. And yes, I know the ring doesn't just transform him into the black armor look. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying it would look pretty cool, you know? Is there a way? I want to just play around with this stuff. Forgive me, guys, but I just... Ooh. Okay, I like how pale he looks. Is there a way? No, you lose a ton of detail. We'll leave him like that. We won't touch it. I don't want to overdo things, right? So now let's look at his hair. So we're going to have a look at his hair and make sure that we play around with the simulation side of things. Because it looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with the simulation of Anatar's hair. But I think that it could be a bit more. So let's have a look. Because if you play around with this strand size, it typically makes the hair heavier and do more. So what does that do? Okay, that brings the front forward, but that does make the fringe kind of go over his eyes, which I don't like. So we will leave that. But lucky for us, his hair is separated into two different sections. So if we come here, there we go. Is that? Just might add a bit more weight, and it might make his ears a bit more visible. Because I had to work pretty hard to make his ears look like elf ears, guys. It was hard. Like, can I make his hair invisible? Oh no, is it going to crash? No, it's not going to crash. So this is this is Anatar without his hair, and as you can see, he's got his elf ears, because that's, you know, if you read the lore, Sauron came to the elves, specifically Celebrimbor, and he deceived them as Anatar, Lord of Gifts, and he deceived them into crafting the rings, thinking they were going to save everyone. And then they gave out all the rings to the men, to the dwarves, to the elves. Luckily, the elves' rings were not touched by Sauron, so they were not evil. But the dwarf and the men ones were. He then crafted his ring in secret so that he could have dominion over all of them that wore their rings. And the moment he did, obviously he corrupted all the men. The dwarves, Tolkien didn't really cover too much on what happened with the dwarves. It's often understood that maybe they were a bit too stubborn, and so the rings didn't have as much of an effect on them. Although it did affect them, they became very anti everyone else and kind of hid away in their mountains with their riches. And then obviously elves weren't affected at all because their rings were purely good and didn't have any parts of Sauron. But that's why he has these ears, and we wanted to make sure that we got that right. So, they're there, but they're not super obvious at the moment, which is a little annoying. But you know, we'll work on it. We will work on it. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with the look of Anatar. Let's remove these flip-flops, because from last I checked, Anatar does not wear flip-flops. He does not, indeed. Or maybe Sauron's just chill like that. You never know, right? You never know. Let's get rid of him. There we go. Damn, Sauron. You got some janky-ass feet going on there. But yeah, so we got some really cool stuff going on here. But yeah, so Sauron is set up. This is, I would say, in terms of Blockout, I am pretty happy with this. So what we can do is start using in the next stream. What we can do is, where are they? Here they are. There's a bunch of static mesh stuff that we can play around with here. If I open one of these, so you can get an idea of what we can be playing around with. But we've got a lot of these dark rock boulders. Some of this really sick looking stuff here. I'm sure we can use this at the edge where he's crafting the ring and make it look really cool. Maybe have like a few like kind of going out like this, where he's working on stuff. Obviously we'll have lava and stuff spitting up in different places. Don't know what that is. There's also some really cool effects for, if I quickly do this, show you guys. There's some really cool effects for, where is it gone? Lava. Volcano. Where's volcano? Oh, sweet. It's a lot of really cool parts. Whoa! That thing is big. Let's move away. Wow, that is... I can't even... That is so immense. What is... I think that's a bit broken. Okay. Never mind. I'm not going to do that. This is probably more what we're going to use. And it's really cool. Just adds this stuff, right? All these little bits of lava spitting up and all the different smoke. And we can really start building out this environment, making it look extra spicy. And, you know, once I learn Marvelous Designer, we can slap some clothing on this guy. I do have a backup where if the whole Marvelous Designer thing doesn't really play out the way I want it to, then what I'll do is I'll just try and purchase some robes for metahumans that look similar to his clothing, and then just create custom textures for them in Substance Painter. That's my backup if I'm not able to figure it out in time, because again, these are supposed to be kind of 60 to 90 second long short films, stuff that I can work on the side casually whilst working on the bigger projects, to keep you guys entertained, because waiting this long for one short film is kind of ridiculous, and I am very sorry for how long this is taking. I am working my best to get this done as soon as possible, to give you guys a bit of a layout of what is going to be happening in the next week. Is this week, because I'm sick of waiting for my back to heal. So this week, me and my brother are going to record all of the motion capture for Atom and his opponent. We're going to get all of it done. I'm also then going to clean all of it up and import it all into Unreal Engine. And then the following week will be me just rendering out the shots, and then it will probably take me a day or two to do the sound design. Sound design doesn't take up too much time. But long before any of that is done, the teaser will be coming out. As far as I'm aware, the teaser will be coming out this week. So keep your eyes out on the channel. Subscribe if you haven't already, for the teaser for Real Steel 2. It will be coming out very, very soon. Thank you guys for your patience. And like I said, I am live every Wednesday and every Saturday. Sorry that today was a bit of a shorter one. I just had a lot of stuff on my plate today. It's been a bit of a shit week, really. I've had some stuff in my personal life go down, which hasn't been that fun, especially recently. So, yeah. But don't worry, I'm okay. Just pushing through. But, yeah. I'm going to live stream again this coming Wednesday, and then obviously Saturday, and that's going to be every week. I've got a lot of stuff lined up for you guys. I'm going to be posting a showcase of the arena environment for Real Steel 2 soon as well. I'm going to get that done today, and then probably it will go live tomorrow. And then Wednesday or Thursday kind of time, the teaser for Real Steel 2 will come out. But at that point, all of the mocap should be done. And it should just be me having to clean up certain bits, which shouldn't be that hard, because the Rococo suits are pretty awesome. So, yeah. Hope that explains everything for you guys. if you took the time to watch this live stream live with me, thank you. I appreciate it. I'm trying to get better at this. I'm just a dude, really. I'm not a YouTuber or any of this stuff. I'm just a dude who likes telling stories. I like telling stories, and so that's what I'm doing. But I hope you enjoyed. If you're watching it after we were live, thank you for taking the time to watch this. I appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed already, please consider subscribing, liking the video, checking out some of the short films that I've already got on my channel. I've also got behind the scenes videos showing you how I made those short films. Check them out. It's a great time. We have a blast. And yeah, I guess until next time, guys, in a bit, lads.